Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the LFGM podcast. Let's fucking go Mets. It's been yet another interesting week in Metland. The boys went 3-5 in their last 8 games. We had a few double headers. We had a few shutouts. We had some injuries along the way. We had some injuries that we thought were injuries that are maybe not injuries. We got a lot to talk about. Matt, how you doing, buddy boy?
Doing all right over here. Limping to the finish line, just like the Mets are, but we're doing all right.
Listen, we said a few weeks back, we just gotta put our head down and get through June. Right, June's gonna be a tough month. June is always a tough month as a Met fan, and they really have been. They took sole possession of first place, and they haven't looked back. The high watermark for them was 10 games over 500. Right now, they're 7 games over 500 at 38 and 31. They have been scratching it out and clawing, and they're playing winning baseball. It's a good brand of baseball, but there's definitely been some bumps in the road, and I guess we could start with. Some of the pitching staff, we saw. I was freaking out a little bit with Marcus Stroman. The hip thing got me a little worried. I don't know about you.
Yeah, when that happened, I was just like, I wasn't even surprised at all. It was just like, yeah, of course that's going to happen right now. Of course, like that's just what.
That's our point. That's a mystic mentality.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was like crazy bad though, which it's turned out not to be. Because like the way he was throwing, even like when they had him warming up, I'm like, all right, he's still throwing 88 and not like dying on the mound here. Yeah. So it's probably something just like got tweaked and it just doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And the right move is to sit him down for a bit.
Absolutely, and the MRI came back clean, thank God. I was more worried about Stroman than I was DeGrom, for sure. But the MRI came back clean. Sounds like he's all good. We might see the Mets skip him a start. Who knows? They got a busy schedule coming up here, so they're going to need some serious pitching help. But we saw 2 pitchers come up from the minor leagues this week. One was Jared Eichhoff, who we've seen before, not in a Met uniform, obviously. And then we saw a young Tylor Megill pitch last night in his major league debut.
I was waiting for the pronunciation of that. You are good at pronouncing names. I will give you that. And you did well there. Is it Miguel? Is that what it is? Or Miguel?
Megill.
Tylor throws you off too. That's
Tylor definitely. That's you got to think twice about it.
Yeah. Like if you could just say Tyler, that'd be great. You just got worried about
a lot easier. Hey, can we just go with Ty? Does Ty work?
Ty. Yeah. I mean, there's only really one legendary Ty in Mets history, and that's
Ty Kelly.
Yeah. And he's just mashing home runs in the minor leagues, enjoying
life.
I know,
out in Tacoma.
Yeah. So I don't even know if he wants to go up to the big leagues. Like, no, this is cool. Like I kind of like getting a hit every other game. Like I kind of like it. It's cool. But I mean Miguel, he looked good. He's got a nice jump on the fastball. You always wonder if like the radar guns are juiced because it's just like everyone's hit 95, 96. But yeah, he hit 97 one time too.
I was going to say his fastball was all over the place. He was down to like 92 at times and then up to 97. So a little inconsistent there.
Could be 2-seam, 4-seam. I don't know. Some guys do that. Mm-hmm. He has like a nice array of pitches though. Like threw some really nice changeups.
Yeah. Well, I texted you about that. Changeup's nice. Changeup fades all the way back to the right. It's a good changeup for if you're throwing it to a left-handed hitter. Keep that sucker, low and away. It's a beautiful changeup. Slider needs a little bit of work. It doesn't have as much of a bite. I would like to see more late bite on the slider. It has some early action. The pitch that I think kind of goes under the radar a little bit is the get me over curveball that he throws for a first pitch strike. If he knows you're a guy that goes up there and you're taking the first pitch, he's got no problem whipping over a 77-mile-an-hour curveball and then never showing it to you again. To save some of the fastball, hey, let's not show these guys a fastball in the first pitch. Throw him the curveball, keep him off balance a little bit. I thought James McCann. I mean, this is my man crush. Ready, James McCann. Listen, dude's never caught him before. He doesn't know what any of his pitches are like, or the array of pitches. He kind of like walked him through the entire start. He's done an outstanding job back there behind the plate this year. It's just so refreshing to know that every game you're going to get the very best out of James McCann and working with somebody he's never worked with before. So kudos to him. But I really like McGill. He's got some good stuff. You could see there's definitely some promise there. He's huge, 6'7". When he was holding the bat in his hands, when he was going up to the plate, he looked massive. Massive.
Most awkward thing ever. He looked like clearly he didn't, it doesn't hit. He's a guy that's like, all right, universal DH next year.
Yep, Paul Bunyan there at the plate.
Yeah. But yeah, I did not know he's that big. I really, Mets fans in general didn't know much about him because just this year he's kind of like put some stuff together. I wonder how many pitches he throws though, with like what you said with the changing in speeds of the fastballs. I wonder how many, if he does have a 2 and a 4 seam. And then with the curve, he does have one that he throws for strikes, but then he has one that's got a little bit of a nastier bite and just ends up a little bit lower in the zone. Mm-hmm. And, I could be mistaken that maybe for a slide. I don't know. It doesn't have east to west movement, though. It's more so north to south. And he gets some nice swings and misses on that. It was the 4th inning. I think he got someone to strike out on the second out. I was like, all right, nice. We're going to get out of this. And I went to walk the dog, and then I came back. 2 runs came in, and he was out of the game. I was like, shit. Like, I would have loved to see him get the 5 innings.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. In the back of my head, push him through 5, try to get him his first W. But listen, man, spots start like that to come up. He's been in AA, been in AAA, and to come up and to – I mean, he really kind of surpassed Thomas Suzupeki in AAA. I thought they would have went with Suzupeki. Suzupeki's on the 40-man roster, so it's not like you would have to DFA anybody. I guess they just didn't want to start Suzupeki's clock. I mean, this guy's a little bit older, too. He's 25, almost 26. And it seems like his spin rate has really kind of jumped this year in particular. So I think the Mets saw a lot of promise in him. They've seen him kind of grow as a starter, and his arm talent has kind of evolved over the last, year and a half, and they rewarded him for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another start. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, Marcus, we're going to skip you for a start, and we're going to ride it out with this kid and see what we can get. And maybe after that, that's all you see from him this year. But you got to be happy with it, right?
Yeah. No. And, it's definitely we are going to see this kid again, right? It's just with all the injuries, regardless of whether Stroman starts or not, with Lucchesi being done for the year, which sucks. Like this kid and other guys will get opportunities. I think the thing with Suzupeki is that, he was hurt a little bit this year as well. It is, I guess, weird for Mets fans because we've known about Suzupeki for a little bit longer. He's been with the organization for longer. So we maybe were expecting to see him, but he, I think he had a high walk rate, struggled with throwing strikes maybe, and then higher ERA. It's like, go with the guy with the better stats then.
Yeah.
And that's what they seem to do.
And just to circle back to Jared Eichhoff, I mean, this was not a signing in the offseason that, is blowing people away, right? This is not going to, look at the Mets front office. They signed Jared Eichhoff. They've done such a nice job. Nope, it's another one of those under the radar, we'll call them like a quadruple A type players, right? And just a major league start. He goes out there. He does what he's supposed to do. He gives you a chance to win the game. You got to be thrilled with the front office and the veteran talent that they've been able to bring in this offseason and how it's paid off consistently this entire year. If we're talking March, April, May, and now into June.
Oh, it's keeping us afloat. It's kept us afloat for 3-4 months now at this point, that long, so it just shows what organizational depth actually does for a team, because if we didn't have that, we'd be fucked, It also helps, like, None of these other teams in the NL East are taking off at all, and they don't look like they may ever take off.
No, I mean it's hard to take off. Granted, when you're beating each other up, right? And it seems like we're in that part of the schedule where I think the Phillies were playing the Nationals and we were playing the Braves. And before that, we had the Nationals. So you're all kind of beating each other up in the division, and it's hard to gain ground on somebody when everybody's winning a handful and everyone's losing a handful. So it's kind of like the NL East was kind of stuck in mud this past week. Just to give you your division rundown, the Mets are 38 and 31, 7 games above 500. Behind them in second place is the Nats at 35 and 36. So second place is not even a 500 team, right? They're 4 games back. Atlanta's 5 games back. The Phillies are 5 games back, and the Miami Marlins are at the bottom of the division. They're 9 games back. So it's going to be a 14 race here. Washington had a really good week. They clawed their way back into it against us a little bit. They've had some better pitching as of late. Scherzer coming off of the IL. But no one's going to run away with this division. Even as a Met fan, I'll be the first one to tell you that, unless they absolutely fucking go nuts here in the second half of the season.
We could, dude. We could.
It's going to be hard with this starting pitching, though, right now. It's going to be really difficult. I don't, you don't have a fifth starter with Lucchesi, right? He's on the 60-day DL. He just posted a picture. He's going in for Tommy John right now. Gsellman is on the 60-day DL or IL now. He tore his lat. Familia, who's having a really good season, who's going under the radar, right? He's on the 10-day IL. He's got a hip issue going on. We just talked about DeGrom's issues here and there throughout the season. We talked about Stroman's having an issue. So it seems like as soon as we get healthy, people are breaking down a little bit, which sucks because you get Conforto back, you get McNeil back, you get Albert Almora Jr. back, and even another one that goes under the radar, Tomas Nido on the 10-day IL. So these are like the dog days of summer, right? This is part of it, and every team goes through it. And unfortunately, it feels like the Mets are going through it a second time. But you got to weather the storm, and it's that next man up mentality.
Is it crazy for me to say that I think I am more worried about the bullpen being taxed as opposed to worrying about the starting pitching just not having enough.
That's fair. That's 100%.
You know what I mean? Because it's such a strength of our team. I'd hate to see it go away because these guys just get used and used and used. And even the worst of the guys in that pen have provided some value, honestly. Like whether it's eating innings and Yennsy Diaz, don't really care that he gave up a home run, but hey, 2 innings, you looked all right that first inning, and you got out of like a base and little things like that. And I'm like, yeah, no, like these are good qualities of a bullpen, and I'm not. There's some concern with the starting pitching. We can go get some guys, right, for the right price. So I still think we're a bit of a ways for that. But, who knows a week or two from now, if someone goes on the IL, like Stroman or someone, we may need to trade for someone real quick.
Yes. I want to talk a little bit about the bullpen here. I'm glad you brought it up. So we lose Familia. We lose Gsellman. Yennsy Diaz. He gives up the 3-run home run. He, fastball bled back over the plate and went over the Great Wall flushing there from Dansby Swanson. But Dylan Betances, who we thought was dead, he's making rehab starts or rehab. He's doing a rehab assignment in Syracuse. So I'm interested to see what happens there. I think, obviously we've talked about Betances before. Anything that you're going to get out of him is going to be a plus at this point, right? Sean Reed-Foley got optioned back down to Syracuse. Robert Stock, who we saw with the Chicago Cubs, he made a spot start with them. I think he pitched like 4 or 5 innings with them. We picked him off of waivers, so he got picked up through waivers. He's going to Syracuse. He could be an option to be called up and used in the bullpen. He was the really smart kid. He graduated high school at like 16 years old.
He pitched against us like a week ago.
Yeah, so we just picked him up off of waivers. Excuse me. I'm dying. Drury, Syracuse, Stephen Tarpley, Syracuse, Mason Williams got DFA'd, Jacob Barnes got traded to the Blue Jays. We got Troy Miller back in that deal, and then we signed 2 relief pitchers as well, Connor Gray and David Griffin. So a lot of roster moves, a lot going on. And Patty Mazika got called back up because Nido is on the 10-day. But a ton of roster moves again by this front office. It shows you they're not sitting around waiting for something to happen. They're going to go out and they're going to try to get it. They're going to try to build it from within. And potentially you could see like a trade for a big name starter or some bullpen help down the line if this doesn't pan out.
I can't believe the Cubs.
I know. I was shocked to see that. I was absolutely shocked. I mean, we watched him. He throws the ball like a catcher. It's from the ear and go. But he was like on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 13 years old. He was this big prospect.
As like a position player.
Correct. As a catcher. And he's got a live arm. He throws 97. He has some serious command issues. He walks a lot of people. But for the Cubs to DFA him, I was a little surprised by that. I thought he would maybe he ran out of options. I'm not sure what happened there, but the Mets were able to pick him up, and they're stashing him in Syracuse, and I would not be shocked. I mean, Ron Darling was drooling over his stuff. I remember that vividly. But he could be an option as, one of an opener for us if needed, or he can eat up some innings, just like Sean Reed-Foley has done, just like Yancey Diaz has done, just like a lot of these guys have done in the bullpen. Because, come late August, September, October, we're going to need Castro and May and Lugo and Diaz to be on their A game. And you cannot be using these guys day in and day out. We're going to need other people in the bullpen to really start stepping up.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, at some point you gotta rely on, especially with all these guys coming back, the position players and the hitters, putting together some runs and just putting up a 10 spot here and there. I know that's a lot to ask in an MLB game, but give me 6 or 7 runs in a game where you could take your foot off the pedal with all these our top relievers being thrown out there time and time again. So that's what I'm hoping for, really. That's how you pull away.
It was nice to see them put up that 7 spot last night against the Braves. Just, I think McNeil was 3 for 5 in that game. Lindor was 2 for 4 with a home run. And Conforto back, his first at-bat, he rips that double down the line, which was so nice to see. And he was running around the bases like nothing was ever wrong with the hamstring there. So it's good to have those guys back. Even Albert Almora Jr. got a spot start there in center field. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of sprinkle him in with Pilar. It sounds like Brandon Nimmo's pretty close, too.
Nimmo's coming back, yeah. So I actually got a text where he's at Syracuse continuing his rehab, Puma says, and they expect him to rejoin the team on the next road trip, so as early as Monday. There you go.
So Nimmo will be back, which is huge. It's going to help solidify that lineup big time. I mean, he's your leadoff hitter. And we talked about how good he was in the beginning of the year. His on-base percentage was through the roof. He sets the tone for this lineup, taking pitches, fouling balls off. Is he the best center fielder? No. Does he cover the most ground out in center field? No. Can you make defensive position changes out there in, 7th, 8th, 9th inning? Abso-frickin-lutely. He is incredibly valuable to the team. He had the OPS was like through the roof in the first month of the season. So I'm pumped for him to come back. I think it only strengthens this lineup. It gets people on base. And, just like even something last night, like Conforto rips that double down the line, right? Well, if Lindor doesn't draw a walk in front of Conforto, then the Braves end up in that lefty shift. And you just never know what's going to happen when they're in that lefty shift. But just because Lindor's on base, they can't go into the shift. It opens things up for Lindor. I mean, everything, if these guys just get on base and anything can happen, put the ball in play, good things are going to happen. And I think we're starting to really see, the team starting to come back together. It sucks that we've lost some of the pitchers here, but you got to keep chugging along, right?
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, like we don't know how to put this. We get on base certain times, right? And we just then put together like some of the worst at bats ever, and we just strand these guys. And it's not even like it's like Peraza or these guys that we don't expect much from. It's like a lot of times it seems to be like our 2 through 4 hitters. So hopefully, like hitting with runners in scoring position just overall improves everything. Because we have to hit at this point. The hitters have to take over and give the pitchers a little bit of a break. That's what we need.
I hate to go after these two because I feel like they've had, I think they're both pretty damn streaky. But Alonso and Dom Smith have been brutal with runners on base. I mean, Pete Alonso is swinging at balls that are thrown 55 feet. Sometimes he just makes up his mind, like, I am going to swing at this pitch no matter where it is. And it's like there's got to be a better approach. And we talked about this a little bit. There has to be a better approach with runners on base. I mean, a runner on if Lindor is on first base, he's in scoring position because he has the speed to go from first to home if you rip a double. So I think guys need to take a better approach, work better counts. And the 2-strike hitting sometimes it's really just hard to watch. And it's not just the Mets; it's all of baseball. Just the 2-strike hitting is it's tough. It's tough,
dude. It's so bad sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Where it's like, if College World Series is on and I'm watching some kind of useless game, and it's just like strikeout after strikeout, and it's that boring, I'll just throw on the College World Series. Like, kids that are gonna like push a drag bunt or something, just making contact, hitting runs. I don't know, man, because MLB in general is like, I've seen more boring games this year than any time I've ever seen in my life.
And like the Mets have been, I will say, one of the more entertaining teams. But
we have. Because we've been decent at contact, honestly. We have. Like,
you can't have the 4 shutouts, though. It's like I said, it was been a weird week with them. It's been a little bit of a rough week, but the 4 shutouts is tough. You guys got to scratch out some runs, man. You got to do better than that. All right, Nemo close. We talked about that. JD Davis, I would say 10 to 14 days away. And Jonathan VR day to day. I don't expect them to put VR on the IL. I think he'll be back. If not tomorrow, because they have the doubleheader against the Phillies tomorrow. You'll see him either Saturday or Sunday sometime this weekend. Steve Cohen broke the internet earlier. Did you see that?
Black jerseys closer, something like that.
We're one day closer to the black jerseys. So I listen, man.
That could be September. That's such a silly troll.
No,
I like it, but if people are getting excited about that, they're idiots. Like,
I know. I wanted to see your reaction to it. I mean, whenever they do it, they do it. I don't really care when they do it, but I'm in favor of it, obviously. But I'm not going to sit there and like foam at the mouth over Steve Cohen's tweets.
Yeah, well, people do.
It's crazy.
He knows that he has that power though, and he likes it. He likes it.
Yeah. Another guy tweeted at him. He was like, any way that you can make double headers a single admission, I'd like to go for a walk and stretch my legs in between the games. And he was like, sure, you can pay for 2 tickets. Like, what are you doing, guy? If you really want to go outside and go for a walk at the chop shops, you fucking moron, go buy a second $10 ticket, you fuck.
You could go for a walk in the stadium.
Yes, literally. Go anywhere you want in the stadium, you dumbass. I thought that was so funny. Steve Cohen was like, sure, I'm on it. I like that one. Another one, Pete Alonso, going to be in the Home Run Derby this year. That's going to be fun to watch. Shohei Ohtani, Pete Alonso, Colorado. We're going to see some.
I didn't know Shohei was in it. That's cool. Who else is? No?
We're going to see some piss missiles from Pete Alonso out in Colorado. He might hit one out of the stadium there, over like where the scoreboard is out there.
You got to get all the big brawny power guys to, you know what I mean? So you can just see the moon shots.
And it's interesting because this is the first home run derby since 2019. Obviously, there was not a home run derby last year, so it's going to be Pete Alonso defending his title, which I thought was pretty cool. Shohei's definitely in it. I think. Let me do a little quick Google search. Home run derby contestants. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of Pete Alonso and Shohei Ohtani.
I think that's it so far. But that's cool. They got time, you know?
Yeah, I'd love to see Vladdy Jr. in it just because the way he swings the bat. I think he was in it in 2019. Was he in it in 2019?
I think he was, yeah.
I think he was, right? He puts his whole body into it, man. He's like, it's such a violent swing.
Maybe and put your back into it.
Yeah, it's this exact same swing as his dad too. I'm a huge fan. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think they got to go with the younger crowd and the more exciting guys, not like the Giancarlo Stanton or Aaron Judge, or JD Martinez. I'm just trying to think of some guys that aren't going to pop. They got to get some of the younger guys going. Maybe you see Acuna in it. I'm not sure. That'd be fun. Get some of these
just pick the top 5 longest home runs. You know what I mean? Individual home runs. Who were they hit by? I guarantee you'll get some decent names in there as opposed to like, all right, this guy has 14 home runs, put him in. Like, you know what I mean?
One year, I don't know. I'm going back now. One year, you're gonna laugh at me for remembering this. Brandon Inge was in the home run derby. Do you remember him?
Yeah, that was tough.
Third baseman. I think he hit like 2 out. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's not even his fault. It's like, who invited him? Of course he's going to say yes. I would say yes too, but who's going to invite me?
Crazy. All right, let's do a little Jacob deGrom talk, and then we'll talk about the upcoming schedule, and we'll wrap things up. Jacob deGrom currently on a 30-inning scoreless stretch. His all-time best is at a 31-inning record. And the Mets' all-time best is 32 2/3 innings, set by the one and only R.A. Dickey. So my question to you, does Jacob deGrom, with his 0.50 ERA, with his 7.77 ERA plus, does he break the Mets' all-time record and go another 2 2/3 of an inning?
Yeah, I think Rod Dickey is going to be in second place.
Radix.
Yeah, I mean, I just every time Jake comes out on the mound, I'm like, please just be good.
Yeah, be healthy.
Be all right, man. Just please, be nice to stretch him out at some point, but I get it's still early. Yeah, I think that's just easily in the bag, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's let up 4 runs all year. He has 5 RBIs or something like that, or 6 RBIs. It's insane, man. It is so entertaining to watch, and it's got to be so frustrating as a hitter to just feel so helpless. Like that's. Did
you see what that Cubs outfielder said?
I saw he was on with Big Cat and them. I didn't see.
Yeah. So Patrick Wisdom, I think he's
third base. Third base.
All right. But they asked him about deGrom, and he was just like, it's just different. Like, he's like, it's the equivalent of like going into a test that you didn't study for. You're going to fail. You're just going to try your best. Like, he's like, the ball it just explodes out of his hand. And it's like, you can sit on the fastball, but you're just still late every time somehow. It's crazy, man. It's just like
fastball, he drops that fucking slider in there. It's like we haven't even seen. Has he really thrown the changeup or the curveball at all this year? Occasionally.
But it's like barely double digits the amount of times he's used some of those pitches. You know what I mean? Like 10 times all season, maybe. Like he broke out the curveball, I think, for the first time only a couple starts ago. Like, and just dropped it on someone, I think, for
it's like not even fair. He should just do that to a pitcher every once in a while and be like, look at me.
Yeah.
And his like cheeky little smile. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, man. I think there's no stopping him at this point. The only person that's going to stop him is himself. So he's got to take it easy with his body. Get 5-6 innings, whatever. I don't care how many pitches it is. He needs to feel good about his body, and I pray to the Met gods that he does not pitch in the All-Star game.
I know. I'm all for that stuff all the time, usually too, especially like because he is considered like the god at this point this year. Like it would be electric, but I just can't have that on my conscience.
Nope, I'm not ready for that. And I hope he pitches the day before the All-Star break because then he would not be able to throw. So
because he probably will say if it's a throw day that I'm going to do it.
Yeah. He would. He absolutely would. Remember when it was, I think it was at Citi Field. I think he threw like the 9 pitches. He almost had the immaculate inning in the All-Star game.
Yeah. Yep.
He was unreal. And he still had the long hair back then. Oh, I loved the long hair. So, anyways, last one for me, and then we'll talk the schedule, and then we'll get out of here. Donnie Stevenson. Donnie Baseball. Have you seen the Pete Alonso videos?
Yeah, I mean, I think people just can't chill out on Twitter. It's actually kind of funny, but it's like, we have gone 17 innings in a row without getting a hit since Donnie Stevenson. It's like, dude, please relax.
Is it time to retire him? Is the shtick up?
No, who cares?
Yeah, I don't care. I think it's funny.
Yeah, keep the mystery alive. Don't tell us who it is. Where did
they find this guy? That's what I want to know. What did Pete look at Craigslist for guys that look like this? Like, what do you do?
He reminds me of, that guy, Robert Frank?
No, who the hell is that?
He's like a Twitter, Instagram guy. I'll send you him, and he's just like is a bodybuilder that like barks into the camera, that talks the way kind of Donnie does, and I don't know. I like the videos. I think it's cool. I think it's it's funny. I have no idea where this came from. We don't need to know until maybe we win the World Series, then you can tell us, and it's over.
I'm looking at Robert Frank now. He definitely has a similar build to him, similar vibe.
Yeah.
I don't really. Do I think it's the funniest thing in the world? No. Do I love it? I'm indifferent, but like, hey man, that's Pete Alonso being Pete Alonso. Like, this is just, he thinks this shit is hilarious. Like he thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And you know what? Good for him, man. Like, let him be himself. I don't care if so they had a little rough patch. Every team goes through it. Relax. They're going to be fine.
All good.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say something. I can't remember.
I'm going to take this time now.
Okay.
I just want, I know we're a long ways away from probably a trade, right? Maybe not. Though. Maybe we get one more injury.
The trade deadline's not for another month. So, like, all these just like, who are we going to trade for? It's like, well, like, let's see where some of these teams are in a month. Like, let's see where the Washington Nationals are in a month.
I agree, but I got one guy that I just want us to keep an eye on because he's doing very well.
All right, let's write this down so we don't forget it.
Should be affordable because he's older and he's a veteran that's not going to command much at all on a team that's never really good in the AL.
That's the thing. You have to look at teams that are not good, that have veterans, because they're not trading any of their young pieces. And
he's a lefty. And he's a lefty.
Is it? Hold on. Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Steven Matz?
No.
Yeah.
I would not do that to us.
I would not do that either.
But this guy, he's been around the block. He's been at AL Central. On the Royals.
On the Royals?
Danny Duffy.
Danny Duffy, yeah. He pitched the other day against the Yankees.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a year. He's got like a ERA under 2. He came back a little bit later, but I think he's got like 7 or 8 starts at this point. And just someone to keep an eye on, because he can be attained and he's had success before and he's been around forever.
Yeah. It's always, it's always interesting when these guys, if we're talking about trades, when they go from NL to AL, AL to NL, switching leagues like that. Um, you just get it's just a different feel, it's such a different vibe. But like I made a list of some of the
Oh,
teams that are like maybe struggling and could be viable options. And I just so everyone knows, there's not a lot that's going to be. I mean, there's going to be teams that make trades, right? Always happens. I don't know how many starting pitchers are going to be available. You get the Miami Marlins, who aren't going to trade anybody to us, right? The Pittsburgh
I mean, who
Pirates,
do we want from them?
right? You got the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have a bunch of young starters who are not trade, right? Like they're not going to make any trades. Okay, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Anybody want to trade for Madison Bumgarner and that contract? Get the hell out of here. You're an idiot. Besides that, they're not trading the young guys, right? Baltimore, not trading the young guys. If you want Matt Harvey, you're a fool. I love Matt Harvey. It ain't happening. Minnesota, intriguing. They could turn it around and not be on this list in a month. Detroit, young guys coming up, not a lot of veterans out there, not a lot of options. And then Texas, the Rangers. That's an interesting case there because there are some guys that you can make, you can try to make a move for out there. But again, you might be trading for somebody who's got like a 4.5, 5 ERA.
No, you got to do it for someone decent, like the guy on the Rangers. What's his name? Kyle Gibson. Like, yeah, he's killing it, but
not trading.
We'll take our whole farm system.
They're not trading.
We'll take our whole farm system.
They're not trading him. They're just not. So the Royals will throw him on the list. Just not a lot out there right now, and that's fine. That's fine. I know Evan Roberts on WFAN said an interesting one, but I don't think he's going to get traded either. He said he would like to see them make a trade for Max Scherzer. One, why the fuck would the Nationals trade to us? Two,
they wouldn't. I've heard that rumor too. They wouldn't.
We would blow right past the luxury tax, and you would be taking on an insane contract. And honestly, does Max Scherzer vibe with this team? I don't know. I don't know how good of a fit that is.
It just would be weird, right? Like he's always been the villain, the enemy. For me, there is that kind of like line that I don't want to cross still. Like I kind of think of him as like funny now, but I still don't want to see him in a
because he's got no hair and the crazy eyes. I saw SNY did one of those mock trades for Jose, what's his name, Berrios with the Twins, but still, I mean, you're paying a fortune to get him then. The mock trade had Mauricio and JT Ginn, two guys who I really don't feel like I want to give up. So
see, I want to keep all of those guys out of it. We have like a weird farm system, right? Where like the top 7 or 8 are pretty good compared to
it falls off hard.
They're like above average, and then we fall off quite a bit, I feel. And for this team and the way they like react to the injuries and everything, I don't think we need to get desperate and trade the farm for a guy. I really don't. I do think someone like Danny Duffy is more of a realistic piece that can happen, or someone else who's just a veteran out there that they just want to part ways.
Send Khalil Lee right back to the Kansas City Royals.
I mean, I don't even know if it would take Khalil Lee. I mean,
no, I probably wouldn't, honestly. That's an interesting name. Someone to definitely keep an eye on. Would love to add a lefty. Would really love that. So I'm glad you brought that up. All right, here's our upcoming schedule. You ready? It's a busy one. They're off today, thank God. These guys needed a break. They have a doubleheader tomorrow with the Phillies, so book it. Mark your calendars. Saturday, 4:10 Phillies. Sunday, 1:10 Phillies. All those 4 games are going to be at home at Citi Field. Ladies and gentlemen, buy your tickets. Get out there. Go to a game. Monday, we have 1 game with the Washington Nationals. That's at Washington. That's a makeup from opening day. 1 game with Washington. After that, 3-game set down in Atlanta. 7:20 starts in Atlanta. So it's busy. Friday, 2 games. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's no off day after that 7:20 Atlanta game. We go right into a 3-game set with the Yankees Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're going to be tired coming back up to the Bronx. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games before that. We went 3-5 in our last 8 here. I would love to see 5-3 in these 8 here.
And some mashing. That's the way to do it.
They're ready to
Got
mash.
mashed.
They're ready to mash. I think that last night was a good game for them. Good at bats, line drives. Even Lindor's home run was a line drive. Hit fucking line drives, guys. Hit line drives, and good things will happen.
Yeah.
You got anything?
No, I think we covered everything.
I'm done, man. That was a lot. It felt good though. We got a lot off of our chest. We discussed the million fucking roster moves that these guys have done. Black jerseys, Pete Alonso, Tylor McGill. It's been fun, man. All right. That's another episode of the LFGM podcast. Let's put it in the books.